Hello, sir.
Good evening.
Hello, sir.
Good evening.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Welcome, everybody.
Hey, sir. Oops. Hello, sir.
Good evening.
There.
How are you all this evening?
Good. Good, sir. Good, sir. Good, sir.
Good.
Good.
Okay. Look at that. Time to go. Just in time for me to get all my stuff sorted out here. So I can now see you on my television. Okay, let's get started. Sit up. Come Take one. Raise your right hand and recite the tenets. Saju, courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit. And now recite the student oath. Saju, I shall observe the tenets of Taekwondo. I shall respect the instructor and seniors. I shall never misuse Taekwondo. I shall be a champion of freedom and justice. I shall build a more peaceful world. Okay, bottle. Before we get started today, come in front of your TV screen. Come and sit down. I'm going to ask you some questions. Who can tell me what integrity is? Okay, Sophia, just unmute your mic so you can answer.
It's like doing the right thing even when nobody's like watching you.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Doing the right thing even when nobody's watching you. That's an excellent answer. Yep. Liam.
Being honest to everyone and everything.
Absolutely, being honest. Yes. And if you do something that's dishonest, you should feel really guilty about it. Cool. Anybody else got anything else? Julian.
Being kind.
Yeah, being kind is more of a thing about courtesy rather than integrity. It's a good, really important thing to be. Yeah. Okay, so our definition in Taekwondo is knowing the difference between right and wrong and having the presence of mind, or so feeling guilty if you do something that's wrong. Sophia's answer is a really good one. Doing the right thing even when nobody is watching. Why is it good to do the right thing even when no one's watching? Why does it make our lives better if we do the right thing if no one's watching? Toby. Just unmute yourself.
So it doesn't stop you from doing it?
What doesn't stop you from doing it? So your integrity, you mean, stops you from doing the wrong thing? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Can anybody think of an example? I don't want you to tell me. I just want you to tell me if you can think of an example of a time when you should have told mum or dad something and you didn't. Who's ever had that situation? Maybe you broke something accidentally and you just tried to keep it a bit of a secret. Yeah, Kappa, it's really common for that to have happened. Who thinks that in the long term, it might have been better off if you just told mum or dad straight away? Yeah, absolutely. So even though sometimes we really get scared that maybe mum or dad will be angry at what we've done, it's really important to tell them straight away, because if they know, they can help do something to maybe fix it or to make the problem smaller. So anytime that you have something that you think, oh, maybe I should tell mum and dad, always tell mum and dad. Because mum and dad, remember, mum and dad's number one job is to keep you safe, right? And they can't do that if you don't tell them the truth about everything that happens. So whenever you need help, whenever something's gone wrong, always go and ask mum and dad for help, because that's what mum and dad want to be there for. They want to be there to help you if things go wrong, okay? But they need you to be comfortable to go and tell them if something is wrong. Okay, let's get on our feet and do some training. Jogging spot, little bouncers. Just jogging, shake your arms, loosen your arms up. Shake your hands. And rotate your wrists. Change direction. It's a nice warm day, so we don't have to do too much. Change elbows. Change direction. Arms back. Liam, tonight you'll get a little bit of a refresher of what we did last night. For everyone else, it will be new, but Liam will also do a whole lot of new stuff as well. And change direction. And torso, feet are shoulder width apart, just twist one side then the other. Although there are a lot of things we can't do when we're training in Taekwondo at home without anybody to practice with in most cases, rotate one ankle. There are also a lot of things that we can focus on a little bit more that we don't get the opportunity to do so much in class. So we'll spend a little bit of time today focusing on some of the technical elements of Taekwondo that we brush over in class quite often. Change direction. Oh, somebody else arriving late. Change foot. Change direction. And hands on knees, going down and back, down and back, down and back. And circling outwards. Now, Liam, when we do this first couple of exercises that you did last night, I want you to do it with slightly different stances. So we'll do walking stance and L stance. You could maybe do it with fixed stances or low stances or rear foot stances, some of your other stances. And inwards. And circling. Change direction. Shot. I'm just going to show you very briefly. This is one of the editions, the most recent edition actually, of the Condensed Encyclopedia of Taekwondo. It's, as you can see, a very big chunky book that has all the information in it that we need to know about Taekwondo. Lots and lots of detail. But what I want to draw your attention to right now is page 42. Why is 42 an important number? Who knows why 42 is an important number? It's the meaning of life, the universe, and everything, right? Everyone knows that. You've all read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I hope. So, page 42 has the training secret of Taekwondo. There are 9 little parts of this. And if you understand this, then you'll understand a lot about how we develop power and how we do Taekwondo. You see the first one there says to study the theory of power thoroughly. Okay, so we can talk a little bit about the theory of power another day. We can go through, there's a whole bunch of these to understand the purpose and method of each movement clearly. So to know why you're doing things and how they're supposed to work. The one that I wanted to mention in particular is number 8, to create a sine wave during the movement by utilizing the knee spring properly. We're going to have a little bit of a play with that now. So that training secret of Taekwondo, that's an important thing for you to read and to memorize. It's super, super helpful. So, if I can get my book away, there we go. We can get physical with it. We talk a lot about sine wave, so I want to have a little bit of a play with that. When we move from one position to another, the way that we develop power in Taekwondo is by relaxing our body during a movement and then only tensing up right at the end of the movement. And that enables you to do the movement really, really fast. And the acceleration is how we develop power. Now, to help us relax, we do the springing of our knees during our movements. This is what sine wave is. So as I go forward, I dip down first, then I rise up, and then fall into my movement. Okay, so this is sine wave. From here, from my parallel stance, down, up, down. My head and my torso go down a little bit first. Then they rise up as I fall, and then I land in my stance back down into where my finished position is. Okay, so I want everybody up in your parallel stance. Put your hands on your hips. Liam, as I say, you do a different stance. 1, 2, 3. Okay, think of your down, up, down. That's your 3 steps. Down is 1, up is 2, down is 3. Go. Do left side and right side. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. Okay, now pause for a moment. 2 things I want to raise for you here. Facing you now, you can see my feet. When I do my forward step, you'll notice that my foot naturally comes in a little bit. And then it goes back out to my line. This is just a natural stepping thing because I'm putting all my weight onto one leg. So when I put all my weight on one leg, my other foot naturally curves in and outward again. We call this an outcurve line, and it's natural. Okay, so from here, as I transfer my body weight, I go down, up, down. Don't bring your feet all the way in together. That's unnatural. It overemphasizes. It's weird. Don't do it. Weird, weird, weird. So don't do this. No one walks like that. From here, 1, 2, 3. The second thing I want to draw to your attention is that down, up, down means that I can keep my back heel on the floor when my movement finishes. Young guys, this is really important because quite often I see you doing 4-direction punch and going like this. And your back heel's off the floor. Look at my back heel there. I'll do it with my other leg so you can see better. This is off the floor. When you do your sine wave correctly, everything finishes with my heel on the floor. That's important. So try it. From here, let your foot curve in a little bit as you go down, up, down. Go left and right. As you breathe, go. Just pop your hands on your hips. Keep your shoulders straight. So I'm going to face forward the whole time. I'm not turning my shoulders at all. Another light camera arriving. Good. Okay. And now what we're going to do is instead of doing it from parallel stance, we're going to go from one walking stance to another. So from here, I'm going to go down, up, down, and backwards, down, up, down. When I go forward, my front knee creates the knee spring, the one that doesn't move. Down, up, down. When I go backwards, it's the back leg. That's the one that's not moving. That's the one that creates knee spring. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. Make sure you don't push up first, especially when you're going backwards. Don't push up first. I've got to dip down first. Down, up, down. Go. Put go on one walking stance and then go forward, backward, forward, backward. Now you'll see that that foot goes naturally halfway to the other foot. Don't come all the way beside the other foot. Just let it be natural. Forward and backward. Check your train tracks. Make sure you've always got good train tracks. Don't rush. Keep your shoulders straight and your hips straight. Okay, change legs. When I step backward, my stationary leg's heel will come a little bit off the floor when I dip down. That's natural. When I land, both heels are on the ground. Relax and feel yourself go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. From here, my upward motion happens as I pass my other leg. 1, I'm down. As I pass my other foot, I'm rising up. And then I fall into 3. 1, passing the other foot, rise up, fall into 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. My moving foot glides along the floor. Try to keep it nice and flat. Try not to lift it up and stamp. Don't point your toes. Just keep it parallel to the floor and glide from one to the other. Keep going. Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Come on, Tamisha, you need to work on this. Liam, good. Both Liam's good. Jade, good. Just don't bring your foot all the way to the other foot. Just bring it naturally halfway. Good, Sophia. Let it be natural. Cool. Okay, come on. Now let's do the same thing in the foot movement that we do for full direction punch, but no hands. So we go down, up, down, and then we're going down, up, down. I'm turning my hips to land in the correct position. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. That pivot of the hips, I am doing at the last moment because that way that jerk of my core is where I'll get some power. So I'll go down, up, down. Down, up, down. When I do that, I've got to make sure I keep my train tracks. So go do left and right. Just your stances, even seniors. Feel with your stances are correct. Always with your train tracks when you're turning and stepping. So try it. Focus on those train tracks. Don't rush. Check one stance before you go to the next one. Feel that 3 count. 1, 2, 3. Down, up, down. 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 Other side. Down, up, down. 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 Come on. Cool. Okay, now I want you to add your hand techniques, but continue thinking about your body and your feet. You shouldn't have to think too much about your hands anyway. Just let that happen. Focus on your body and your feet. So from here, I'm going to be thinking 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Go. Shoulders nice and straight in your punches. They can angle a little bit in your block. Just go left and right a few times. Take your time. Alex, you're going up a bit first when you're stepping forward. Remember, you want to use this knee and dip down, up, down. When I punch, I want to be down, up, down. I don't want to be up, down. I need my 3 count. Down, up, down. Then you relax and explode into the movement. And come on. Okay. One of the points I want you to consider is that the difference between white belt and yellow stripe, the difference between yellow stripe and yellow belt, and so forth up through the grades, isn't just knowing a sequence of movements and doing it. So if you can do forward direction punch, go around in a circle, do punch and blocks, that's great. We expect that. I also expect you to be able to do it with good sine wave, good stances, correct crossing, strong techniques. Okay, all of that applies. It's not just learning a sequence. Okay, so make sure you're practicing to get better at that sequence. We've just worked on the hand, on the feet. So now I want to play around with the hands. Everyone, parallel ready stance. Repeat. I'm just going to play with forward direction punch again. So in my stance, I'm not going to move my feet. Just in the same stance, I'm going to go punch, block, punch, block, punch, block. Okay. Now I'm doing this in parallel stance, so I make my sine wave coming up onto my balls of my feet. Punch, block. The key thing I want you thinking about, some of you are doing your blocks crossing down in front of your tummy, and there's nowhere to get any power. You cross up in front of your opposite chest. So if I'm blocking over on this side of my body, I have to cross over on the other side of my body. Cross here, my crossing is in front of my chest, so my knuckles are the height of my shoulder. And then block. Okay? Punch, block, punch, block. No higher, don't reach all the way up here, because then someone can kick you. Just in front of your chest. Blocking hand goes on top. So from here, punch, block, punch, block, punch. Notice when I cross for my block, my elbows are down. My fists are crossing and my elbows are down. Okay, not up like this. You've got to be here. And pause for a moment. Yellow belts and above, but everyone can think of this, but yellow belts and above, I expect you to start getting this right. You're thinking again your 3 count. 1, 2, 3. 1, relax your hands. 2, cross, 3, block. Okay? 1, relax your hands. 2, cross, 3, block. So from here, 1, relax my hands. 2, pull back. 3, punch. 1, relax my hands. 2, cross, 3, block. 1, 2, 3. We can say relax, intermediate position, block. When I relax in parallel stance, my heels just stay on the ground. So I'm just going 1, then I pull back and rise up 2, and drop down and punch 3. Relax 1, hands come in front of my chest, cross and lift up on my toes, 2, block 3. Okay, so go that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now let's do the other side. So punch with the other hand. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Make sure you're crossing on top. Okay, blocking hand crosses on top. That way both of your hands will twist, smashing 2 watches together so that both of your hands twist. The punch doesn't cross at all, but the block crosses on top. Okay, check that your punch is to the center line. I see some of you punching over here. Punch to the center, block in line with your badge, chest line. Punch, block, punch, block, punch, block, punch, crossing on top, block. Watch your crossing on top, Levi. Make sure you're crossing on top. You look like you're crossing underneath on that side, Levi. Cross on top. There we go. That's better. Sophia, just watch that you're crossing on top. Look like you crossed underneath that time. That's it. Yes. Okay, and come on. Good. That crossing exercise is really important because after you've done it a couple of thousand times, you don't have to think about it anymore. It just becomes automatic. I don't have to think about this anymore. It just happens because my brain remembers how to do it. So you need to have that level of reflex where you've practiced it so often, you don't think about it. That's how the block works. Until you get there, slow it down and do it. If you're watching YouTube on television or on your laptop, you just practice your blocking like this. Create that muscle memory. Make sure that you're on top and then just repeat the same block. Okay, now from here, let's put them together just forward and backward. So we'll go step back, low block, step forward, punch, back, low block, forward, punch. So we're doing that same foot movement as we did before. Down, up, down, down, up, down. Go. Feel that sine wave. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Remember that 3 count. 1 is relax. 2 is cross or intermediate position. 3 is block or punch or whatever you're doing. Always at 3 count. So on 1, when I'm doing my block, my hands are in front of my chest. That's my down motion. Up motion, cross, down motion, block. One other element of that training secret of Taekwondo is once the movement is in motion, it doesn't stop until it reaches the target. It actually starts by saying every forward motion has a backward motion with a few exceptions. But once a movement is in motion, it doesn't stop until it reaches the target. Do the other side now. Low block, punch. Alex, be careful, you're overextending your punches. Make sure you're full facing in your punch. Hips and shoulders straight, not sideways like this. Check your stance. Train tracks, both feet forwards. Make sure you're getting train tracks with all of these movements. And as you're all doing, when you block, your shoulders will have a little bit of an angle with them, and that's okay. Kenny, just focus on your stances. Your shoulders are a little bit sloppy. Get that corrected. Low block, punch. Low block, punch. Low block, punch. And come on. There are a couple of you that are still punching a little bit like this with your shoulders sideways. If I do it facing forwards, a little bit like this with your shoulders sideways. It means my stance is no good. My back foot must be pointing sideways for this to happen. Both feet are in train tracks, pointing forwards. My hips and shoulders are dead straight. Straight here, not angling my shoulders here. Okay, so don't overreach. Okay, let's do 4 direction punch. Ready. Right side. Jump. And bottle. Left side. Stop. And bottle. And grab a drink. After class, I want you to get your training notebook and write some notes down about sine wave and that outcurve line with your foot. Drawing diagrams is a really good way to do it. Your body going down, up, down with your knee spring. Down, up, down. Your feet going in and back out again, maintaining your train tracks. Okay, now, next exercise. I want everybody to think of one or two a sequence of movements from your pattern that you find difficult. Now, white belts, you're going to work on saju, makgi, 4 direction block. Everybody else, take a sequence of about 4 to 6 or 7 movements from your pattern that you find difficult, and you're going to repeat and repeat and repeat that sequence. And I want you to try and think about how sine wave applies. So if I'm green belt, for example, and I'm starting 1-0, the first 6 movements, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Together, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Now, the first few times that you do the sequence, do it at the pace I just did it and feel how your body works. Think about what you're trying to do. My son, Paul makgi, I have 2 opponents and I'm blocking both. This one's attacking my head. Oh, make sure my tool's over my head. This one here is somebody attacking my body. Oh, got to make sure that's going the right way. My second movement, I'm striking someone in the neck. So I have to make sure that my strike is coming inwards to the neck. I'm eye level with my finger so that I get the neck height with my knife hand. And then I shift my foot in a little bit and I punch in a fixed stance. Is my fixed stance correct? That's really important. Okay, find your seat, decide what sequence you're going to do. White belt's doing 4 direction block and go. Where you go. I'm going to watch and give you feedback. Yellow stripes are a really good sequence to work on. It's just the first 4 movements because you can then practice that backward step turn clockwise, that turning around, doing your low block and making sure you land in a good stance. It's an excellent thing for yellow stripes to work on. Nina, good. Couple of things that I'll give you, Nina. First up, remember with your guarding blocks, start in front of your chest, pull back, and when you pull back, lift up a little bit so then you can come down into your guarding block. That applies for your bending stance and after you kick when you're doing the knife hand guarding blocks. It applies to those as well. So hands in front of chest, pull back and lift up a little bit, about eye level with the backhand, and then drop into the stance. It's the first thing for you. The second thing, just check that your stance and your L stance moving forward, your front toe and your back heel are in line, which gives you about 2.5 centimeters between your heels. Sometimes you can be a little bit too wide, and when you're too wide like this, you get a much bigger target. Your L stance is actually quite a narrow stance. So think about 1, 2, 3, and just look at your line and make sure your toe and heel are on the same line. Looking good, good, Nina. Levi, one thing, just make sure you're working on that sine wave. At the moment, you just look like you're walking down, up, down. And then second thing is make sure your punch is in the line with the center of your body. Okay, so don't rush and just go 1, 2, 3, because that's not how we punch, right? From here, we want to go down, up, down. Punch the center line. Down, up, down. Of course, your eye level punches for dangling. Keep going. Liam for movements, Liam A for movements 1 and 4, just watch that you're half facing here. Back knees pointing sideways. Don't turn too far so that you're facing forwards here. You're in an L stance with the back knee pointing sideways. Then you change to full facing to do your thrust. Okay? Okay, Jacob, just be careful that you've got a clear difference between your L stance and your walking stance. This is called foot shifting, and you do a lot of it in Jungun. So from my L stance here, remember my L stance with my back fist side strike, my toe and heel are in line, but my walking stance is a shoulder width wide. So when I drop here, there's quite a big movement that my foot takes. From here, boom, into my walking stance. So it should be quite a clear movement from that narrow stance, turning the back foot into a walking stance. And that dropping of your core, that's how you get the power to release. Boom! That jerk, smack, that's how you do it. Cool, give it a go. Okay, Liam G, sorry, this time. From your walking stance punch here, the next movement, this pattern diagram makes the shape of a capital I on the ground. Okay, so I've done my 3 punches going forward, and now I get the base of my capital I. So my front foot stays where it is, and I turn around and do my sung pomak maki. Okay, so this is the bottom part of my capital I. Now I'm going to step forward and punch. Then I'm going to pivot on my back foot and do it the other way, and then step forward and punch. That gives me the base of my capital I. And then from here, I can go 1 and 2. So the sequence, I'll do it a little bit further down here, looks a bit like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? Does that make sense, Liam G? Okay, away you go. Toby, unless you've got a question, get practicing. Sophia, just take your time with your crossing. Remember your knife hand low block, because you're blocking with the outside of your arm, that goes on top, this way. Your inner forearm middle block, that's blocking with the inside of your arm, so it goes underneath with both hands away from you. So the blocking hand is under. Okay. That's it, Sophia. Good. Take your time with that crossing. Nina, lift up when you're doing your guarding blocks. Open out a little bit. Be confident. Lift up. Block. Kick. block. Remember that 3-step. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, come on. Does anybody have any questions about the sequence they've been practicing? If you have any questions, just come up and unmute and ask your question. Okay. That is how we get better at patterns. Rather than learning the sequence and then just doing the whole pattern again and again and again and making the same mistakes, take a sequence out of the pattern that's difficult and practice that small sequence again and again and again. Take your time. And then when you string those sequences together into the pattern, your pattern's going to infinitely be better. Okay, just by taking your time and do it. So if I'm doing Chonji, for example, I'm just going to do the first 4 movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then repeat it. The hardest part of pattern Chonji is the backward step turn. There's 4 of them. So I just practice the backward step turn. Okay, so just practice that. And then when you put the pattern together, the whole thing fits together really nicely, making sure that you can land nicely in each of your stances. Okay, grab a quick drink. Okay, the recordings from these classes will be up on our website shortly. Take your time sometimes to have a look at the start of yesterday's class. At the start of today's class, we had a little bit of a chat about integrity. Yesterday's class, we had a little bit of a chat about courtesy. So look for the kids class, the young guys class yesterday, and you'll find that sequence. It's a chat about courtesy, and there's some useful stuff. And tomorrow we're going to do perseverance, and Thursday we're going to do self-control. So we'll do a little bit each week, each class this week, and get through a whole lot of content over the course of the week. So parallel ready stance should be. We're going to do some work on some kicks. Before we do, I want to do some work on our guarding blocks, because we do guarding blocks a lot of the time between our kicks, and they tend to look a little bit sloppy. So we want strong, strong guarding blocks. So from here, I'm going to put my hands up in front of my chest as I put my weight onto one leg. Then I pull my hands back behind me. And notice when I do that, they lift up a little bit. This hand's coming in front of my badge, facing towards me, and my other hand's coming up to eye level, facing away from me. And then from here, when I drop forward into my stance, both of my hands twist. They come around and do the block this way. Now that means that if someone's coming to attack me this way, I'm going to block their hand out of the way. It's common for us sometimes to do our guarding blocks from here, where they're a bit low, and they just stick up in the air. You'll see that's not going to block anything at all. Okay, if I start from too low, my hands are just going to stick up. They're not going to have that curve motion. They need to block the tool. So from here, I go 1, 2, 3, back, 1, 2, 3, back, 1, 2, 3. Okay, go. Left and right, show me your guarding blocks. Make sure you're reaching back. Jacob, a little bit further back and not quite so high. At the moment you're coming up here, I want you to go to here. Okay, so just to eye level. You'll get a little bit more motion that way. And you'll feel when you throw your hips into it, you got a lot of power coming around and boom, doing the block. This way. Okay, try that. Kenny, I've got a really good view of your ceiling, so it's hard to give you some feedback. That's it. Okay, pause for a moment. 2 things. First up, be careful when you're doing an L stance guarding block not to put too much weight onto your front leg. Okay, because our momentum of our block is going forward, it's quite common for people to have their weight go forward as well. Remember, your L stance has a little bit more weight on the back leg, and your back foot points sideways. And so does your knee, opened out this way. So from my parallel stance, this foot steps out. That's the first thing. Keep my weight back when I land. The second thing is how to use my tummy. Big, strong muscles here. That's where I get power. So from here, I'm going to delay that motion on my hip just a little bit so that when I land, I'm going boom, like this with my hip. My hip goes first, and then my hands come after. What's common is I see students doing this, where everything's moving at the same pace. And when everything's moving at the same pace, I'm not going to generate power. My hips go first. My hands follow a split second later, and they have to catch up. So they have to move super fast to catch up, and that's where I get power. Okay, go. And one side. Come back, hands in front of chest. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Make sure you're reaching back. Good, Jacob. It's excellent. You're not reaching so far back that your shoulder is tense. That's excellent. You want to keep that shoulder relaxed, but you've got to reach back behind you. Good. Reach back, block forward. That's it, Jake. Just pause on that block position for a moment. Don't bounce straight out of it. 1, 2, 3. Check it. Make sure it feels good. It should feel really strong. 1, 2, 3. Check it. 1, 2, 3. Check. Check your foot angles. Check the width of your stance. Always look at the opponent when you block and then check. Make sure you're reaching back, or you stop reaching back, Jacob. Particularly with this hand here, make sure this hand's coming back as well. Both hands come back, boom, block forward. Okay. Come on, now we're going to add one more element to it with our kicks. We'll start nice and easy. After you do a kick, you do a sine wave. So in class, when we do techniques on pads or wherever it may be from an L stance, strong guarding block, strong kick, sine wave, strong guarding block. Okay, what I don't want to see in class is this. Okay, there's nothing there. Strong guarding block, strong kick, strong guarding block. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Everything strong. Try that. Strong kick, strong block. Harper and Kenzie, take your time. Make sure everything's got power. You're just putting your hands out again. Kick. Strong block. Kick. Strong block. Take your time. Everything's strong. Jay, just lift that knee up for your front kick. The height of your knee determines the height of your kick. That's it. Come on. Okay, now I want you to find a little bit of space. You're going to do the same exercise, but you're going to do it with one of your kicks. Except, blue belts, check the place you're in and red stripes before you start flying. Okay, so if you're doing If you're in a space where maybe the floor's too slippery or it's a hard floor like concrete, do kicks on the ground, not flying kicks. I don't want anyone falling over and hurting themselves. Okay, so blue stripes and below, choose one of your compulsory kicks. White belts, you're going to do doyo chagi, strong guarding block. Yellow belts, pick one. Side turning kick, side piercing kick. Take your pick. Green stripes, black back piercing kick. Green belts, you've got heaps to choose from. Vertical kicks. Julian, you're doing turning kick, like I told you before. Green belts, you've got lots to choose from with your downward kicks, pick shape kicks, vertical kick inward, vertical kick outward. There's lots to play with. Blue stripes, you've got, I think, reverse turning kick, reverse hooking kick. Or maybe they're the other way around. I think reverse turning kick, reverse hooking kick is green belt, and vertical kick is blue stripe. You got heaps to do. So pick a kick, left and right, strong guarding block after every kick. Go. Amber, what I want you to do here from your guarding block is imagine there's a big ball in front of you and you've got to lift your leg or a table. You're going to lift your leg and go out and back over the table. And then come back, strong guarding block. So this is our white belt movements. From here, imagine there's a table. I've got to lift my leg. I have to pivot the other foot so it faces sideways or a little bit past sideways. Lift my knee up nice and high and then make it go across the table and back again. And then do my guarding block nice and strong. Go. Take your time. Don't rush. Strong kicks. Strong guarding blocks. You are much better off doing 5 strong kicks and 5 strong guarding blocks than 10 rubbish kicks and 10 rubbish guarding blocks. Take your time, do it strong. Kenny, control the whole thing from your guarding block. And back. Imagine the pad there. Imagine you're smashing your foot through the pad. Take your time. Don't just flick your leg out all the time. Kicks. Strong kicks. Good analytical thinking, Jacob. Liam, Liam A, make sure after every kick it's a strong guarding block. That keeps your mind focused. Not just the kicks. The guarding block's got to be strong as well. Even if the kick doesn't come off well, strong guarding block. Keep your brain in gear. Come on, pause for a moment. Just a little thing for juniors, remembering the difference between a turning kick and a side turning kick. So I saw a couple of green stripes and green belts, yellow belts and green stripes getting it wrong. Turning kick is a yellow stripe technique. My target is over here on an angle. I pivot my supporting foot sideways or a little bit past sideways, and I kick out to that angle, out and back. That is a turning kick. Side turning kick is where I come all the way around to my side here. To do this, my supporting foot has to pivot all the way around behind me, or technically 75 degrees away from me, for those of you that know your geometry. From here, now the side turning kick, because of that extra angle of the foot, I get more extension of my body. For my turning kick, my body's bent up nice and tight here. This is turning kick. Side turning kick, it's open a little bit more. So I get more distance with the kick. But it's still a flicking motion. This is yop dolochagi. It is different from yop chajerigi, which is a stamping motion. 1 minute, go. Yellow belts and above, you should all understand the difference between turning kick and side turning kick. If I ask you for those kicks, you should demonstrate the difference because it's very important. Yellow stripes need to get your head around it as well. That's it. So remember, side turning kick is all the way around. This is your side, okay? Turning kick is on an angle, like a 45 or a 15-degree angle. So Julie, lift the knee. Remember to keep your hands under control when you kick. So for my guarding block, if I'm doing dolichagi, my back hand is by my jaw. My front hand is up. Not only does this give me defense, it also helps to give me balance. Control those hands. Remember the angle of your supporting foot. Make sure it pivots. If it doesn't pivot, I'm not going to get a good kick. And come on. Okay. Come on, grab a little drink. Nope. You might be a little bit early, Isabel. This is the young guys class that started at 5. Did you want to do the big guys class that starts at 6? Okay. Sitting down, both of your legs straight out the front. One leg over the top of the other and twisting towards that bent leg. Think about the details we covered off tonight. After class, get your training notebook and write down as much as you can remember. We did a lot of work on sine wave in that 3 counts, down, up, down. We talked about the outcurve line, how your other foot comes in towards the other foot about halfway and then out again. You know you're on train tracks, shoulder width wide. Your shoulders are straight for your punches and your hips are straight. Little angle for your blocks. Talked about delaying and exploding in the hip. And change legs. And then we applied all of that. We practiced our crossing as well in parallel stance, in a walking stance going forward and back, because we've got to make those correct crosses a habit so you don't have to think about them. We did some work on forearm guarding blocks, some basic kicks. What I want to see when we get back into the dojang is every time we're doing basic kicks, whether it be on pads, whether it's on line work in the air, after every kick is a strong block and a strong stance. Okay, if we're doing free sparring drills, it's a little bit different. If we're doing line work or pad work for technique, then we get strong guarding blocks every time. And both legs out. You also did a sequence from your pattern, stretching forwards. Most of you, I was able to give you some feedback, so write down your feedback. Remember, a really good way to get better at patterns is to practice the little sequences together. Repeat the sequence lots and lots and lots of times. Get comfortable with your stances, with your balance, with how your technique moves, the path that it takes to get to the target. It's called the trajectory. So we're going to practice the right trajectories. Okay, legs apart. In fact, turn sideways, lie on your back, stick your legs in the air and open your legs out. You hold on to the bottom of your trouser legs. You can use that to keep your legs in position. Pull your toes back and just let your legs hang. and close them up. Standing up. Your legs a shake. Turn to the left and tidy up. You can do a little bit more stretching after we finish class. And I'll look forward to seeing you. 5 o'clock class tomorrow. Don't be shy. Or 5 o'clock class on Thursday. I'll look forward to seeing you then. Thanks everyone. Tune up. Kill me. Take one. See you tomorrow, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you. Thanks for your message, Jade. It was lovely. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Bye, sir.